Hello and welcome back to the Canon Sports Show. Today we are going to be discussing the Cardinals' Week 1 opponents, the Washington Commanders. Let's get into it. So Cardinals versus Commanders. It's going to be a rough matchup for the Cardinals. The Commanders went at 8-8 last season. The offense just required Eric Bieniemy as their new offensive coordinator, and he's going to drastically change that Commanders' offense a lot. And in theory, it's going to make them way more dangerous, even with maybe not the best quarterback, but a lot of wide receiver talent, a lot of running back talent. They're going to be scary this year. And they have a really solid defense that the last couple of years has performed really well. They have talents like Jonathan Allen, Montez Sweat, that have made their defensive line dangerous. And if Chase Young can stay healthy and perform this year, they could be an even bigger threat defensively. So offensively, they have a second-year quarterback, Sam Howell, who's going to be looking to lead the offense this year. And find his top three receivers in McLaurin, Dotson, and Samuel, and especially McLaurin. McLaurin is a phenomenal player. Like, Scary Terry's a top receiver in the NFL. I would personally say he's top 10, but I would argue as well that he's a top 5 receiver. In my NFL podcast a while ago, I made a list of my top 5, and I did consider putting him in there, but I think that this year is going to be a big one for him. I think he's going to establish himself as that top 5 receiver in the NFL. This is going to be a good test for the Cardinals. They're playing a solid team. They're going to challenge them in every aspect of the game. And the Commanders are not going to make this an easy game for the Cardinals. Cardinals, if they want to win, they're going to have to work. And it's going to be, again, just a good test regardless. Even if they lose, it'll be good to just see where the Cardinals are at. So anyway, keys to the game for the Cardinals. You got to get to Howell. You have to get to him. You have to establish some sort of run game. You need to slow down McLaurin as hard as that is to do. You have to. And Joshua Dobbs needs to have a good game. So Howell's a relatively new quarterback. He hasn't played much in the regular season. If we're able to get pressure on him, we're gonna make him make mistakes. Like, he's a newer quarterback. Like, he will make mistakes, and he's gonna ultimately slow down the Commanders' offense if he makes those mistakes. I expect to see us mixing in linebacker blitz packages, trying to get pressure, maybe even have Buddha come off from safety, try and blitz with him. I love our defensive coordinator. I think that he's going to be able to get pressure. The question is how much and how often. But if we're able to get pressure, it will dramatically increase our chance of winning this game, as we will slow down this offense that, in theory, could be really dangerous this year. If we have any chance this game, we have to establish some sort of run game. Connor is more than capable of getting going and giving us a strong game. I'm worried about our offensive line in terms of being able to create holes for Connor to run, just because obviously our offensive line is a big weakness for the Cardinals. But then on top of that, you're dealing with Chase Young, Darren Payne, Jonathan Allen, Montez Sweat. Like, they have a really good D line. Like, they have solid linebackers. It's gonna be really tough to get going. I think if we can get the run game going, though, it will set the tempo of our offense, and it's going to allow our passing game to work better with more space, because they're going to have to respect the run. Because again, if let's say we get the run game going and they just don't respect it, Connor will kill them. Like, if he's given room, like, he will kill them. Again, that all depends on our line, but if they can get that going, they're going to have to do something about Connor, and that will set up so much more for our offense. And if we cannot get the run game going, then the Cardinals are going to have a hard time on offense and have a hard time winning the game. Slowing down Terry McLaurin is a hard task to try and achieve, but it's necessary if we have any aspirations of winning. If he has a great game, we are ultimately not going to win. We just don't stand a chance. We don't have a corner that is necessarily capable of stopping Terry, but if we can show him double coverages, play a safety near him at all times, we can slow him down and give us a chance. And like, there's no negotiation when it comes down to that. If we do not slow down Terry enough, like, there's little chance we win. Like, if this dude goes off and he gets over 100 receiving yards, gets more than one touchdown, we are not winning this game. And then finally, Joshua Dobbs, he really needs to play well. He's going to be making his first start for the Cardinals, and it's going to be interesting to see how he performs, new offensive system. And, like, he's a really solid quarterback, and I do think he can lead this team to wins. But going into a new system is always tough. It's never easy. And he's going to have to connect with his new teammates, make the right reads. And that's tough when you're going to a new system with new people. And that can take time. But if the Cardinals do win, I do think that Dobbs is going to be a big part of it. In terms of players that we really need to look out for, you have to. We've already talked about him so much. Terry McLaurin, he's a beast. If we don't stay on him, he will tear us apart. And if he gets going and has a good, not even a good, yeah, a good game, or great game, it doesn't even matter. He will be a big reason why we lose if he gets going. We have to stay on him. Dotson is another guy who he really can get it going. It's crazy to think that they got Dotson and Samuel as well, two solid guys to play alongside McLaurin, who are gonna make our defense have to work just that much harder. If Dotson can get going as well, that's scary because he's got that potential to pop off and have a really good game. I I do think we can control him a bit more in terms of coverage, but he's also going to be just as important as McLaurin in slowing down because we don't want him to get, tons of catches and tons of yards, and then that leaves McLaurin with more chances. And then on the defensive side, we really need to be careful of Chase Young. He's had problems with injuries and overall just production, but if he can stay healthy this year, he could be a really good player. And we need to just watch him because if he gets going, like he is capable of being a really good player. And so we need to just be careful, be wary of him. I would have talked about, Darren Payne, Allen, Sweat, but I feel like their resumes kind of speak for themselves. They're really good players. They're going to get to our quarterback. They're going to stop the run game. They're that good. You just know what they're going to do, especially against the Cardinals. Kendall Fuller is going to be another guy we really need to look out for because he's just a fantastic corner. And it'll be interesting to see if he lines up maybe. Is he going to line up, on Marquise Brown? Is he going to line up on. I don't think he'd line up more because more most likely be in the slot, but never know. But Fuller's a great guy. He can turn a game and he can be a big factor in stopping our passing game. And so we really, really need to look out for him. I'm very excited to see how the Cardinals are going to look, but if I'm being honest, I just don't expect them to do much. I just don't think we're going to win. I do think the Cardinals have made the right moves. They've started to bring in the right people, and they're making the right steps in terms of rebuilding this team. But this week, I just don't see anything happening. I will be rooting for them, though. As much as I said, as I want McLaurin to get stopped, I am starting him in my fantasy football league, so I wouldn't be mad if he got going. But I don't know. I just want to see some good things from the Cardinals. I don't expect us to win, but if I can see some, players do well, like Rondell Moore have a good game, like Joshua Dobbs have a solid game, that's all I really want. But it's week one. Crazy things happen, so you never know what's going to happen, really. Anyway, I don't really got much more to talk about. Again, this was just a little podcast, just going over the Commanders a bit. But it's going to be a fun game, I think. Hopefully. I would like to be able to watch this game without, it being 40-0. But anyway, that about wraps up what I want to talk about. ASU podcast tomorrow night, and then Cardinals podcast Sunday night, probably. Probably, yes, Sunday afternoon, Sunday night, something around that timeline. But yeah, anyway, I'll see you guys later. Have a great day.